Hello everyone, welcome back to Excel Dashboard Analytics Intermediate Series. We're now at Chapter 5, Refreshing Your Pivot Table. Alright, so this chapter is going to be very crucial, especially when your data set changes from time to time. For example, at the start of every new month, you might be receiving a new set of data streaming into your data source. And when that happens, you know that you need to refresh your pivot tables. Alright, so in this chapter, I'm going to be teaching you some very effective tricks how you can refresh your pivot tables easily without having a headache. Okay, so sit tight and let's dive right in. Alright, right now you're looking at a pivot table that we have just created, and it's reading off data exactly from the data source here. And take a look at the data set. It is actually reading it specifically from cell A1 all the way to cell P3265. So it's effectively just this data range here. Okay, so if you have new data coming in, it's not going to be reading it because it is literally just reading this fixed range here. Alright, if you want to be able to receive new data into your data source, you would want to expand this table or range that the pivot table is reading from. So in order to do so, basically you can just drag and read off all the columns like that, and it's literally reading off column A to column P, and then we click OK. Alright, so straight away it's also reading the blanks here. Okay, let's just create some new entries. For instance, let's just create this new guy, Jordan Thompson. Okay, Jordan Thompson, Jordan Thompson being his last name. He is based in New York, USA, male. Let's say he is 40 years old. He is a managing director. He has sold smartphones as well in 2016 December, and he has sold altogether 4 million worth of smartphones, and with that he has earned a total of 15% of the sales volumes. Okay, so I'll just put it like that. And in terms of simplifying it, let's say we divide it by 1 million, that gives us 0.6 million. Let me just copy the format over, and there you go. We have just created a new entry for Jordan Thompson coming in December 2016, and he has earned 4 million worth of sales. Okay, so let's just refresh the pivot. Click on Analyze and click Refresh. There you go. We saw Jordan Thompson's entries in. He has brought in sales volumes of 4 million here. And if we double click on it, we can see this new entry here. So that's about it. We can see how you can effectively read off new data by expanding the data set to read off all the columns. Okay, another method which is actually pretty useful as well is to read it off a table instead. I'll give you an example. Let's just remove all formats. Let's just clear formats altogether, and then format it as a table into blue style. Okay, blue style. Okay, and then let's just tidy up the font a little. Okay, there we go. So we have all the data set here now, and it's reading it off as a table. Okay, all right, so instead of creating a new data from here, what you can do is just paste it into the next column. And let's say we just paste a couple more in, like just paste it in like that, and the table will read it accordingly. Notice that the end of the table is actually denoted by this little symbol mark here. And let's say we have Jordan Thompson earning smartphones in December. He has also made some sales in November, October, in September, in August, in July, and also in June. Okay, let's just stagger his sales accordingly. Let's say he earned 4 million here, he earned 3 million here, he earned 2 million here, 1 million here, and then he earned 800,000 here, 600,000 here, and 400,000 here. Okay, so let's just expand it out, and we have basically just created a new series of data for Jordan Thompson coming in, and we have injected that data into the table that we have just formatted. Now, if we want to be reading off the pivot from that, we can actually just copy and paste the name of the table. So let's call this table pivot data. Okay, if we just created this as pivot data, and then we click on pivot table and we read it off from pivot data. Okay, so there you go. It is effectively reading off the data from pivot table instead. If you click on change data source, notice that it's reading it up from pivot table. If we want to add in any new rows, for instance, just like that, let's say I just press tab, create a new row, and we call it Eric Brian. Okay, Eric Brian. We call it from Hong Kong, Asia, male. Let's say okay, no, that's a male name. Male, 45. D4. He's an associate director. He sold tablets. 2015, let's say he came in 2015 and he sold in December 8 million. Okay, so we just copy and paste it down like that, and there you go. Let's just refresh, click on analyze, click on refresh, and there you go. We have added in Eric Brian, and it's reading off the table instead. Okay, so lastly, I'm just going to teach you a quick shortcut how to refresh your pivot table. Instead of clicking your pivot table, click on analyze and click on refresh, you can actually just use the shortcut here, alternate F5. That's what you see on the screen, alternate F5. Alternatively, you can also use the keyboard shortcut and press alternate JT, then click on F, and then click on R or click on A. Okay, the difference between refresh all and refresh is basically refresh is only just pertaining to your own single pivot. Refresh all refers to all the pivot table connected in the entire workbook. Okay, so that's basically a wrap on how to refresh your pivot table data. Whenever you got new data coming into your data source, use the keyboard shortcuts to refresh your data. You become a pro in no time. I'll see you in the next chapter. See ya.